Welcome, friend. I am so glad you've joined me tonight. Before we begin our journey, I want you to take a moment to truly settle in. Find your most comfortable position, perhaps adjusting your pillow or pulling your blanket just a little higher around your shoulders. Take a slow, deep breath in, feel the air fill your lungs, and now let it out slowly. Let the tension leave your shoulders and your neck. Tonight, we are leaving the bright, busy world behind to go on a quiet journey through the world's most gentle lights. We often think of light as something powerful and hot. The burning surface of the sun, the glowing filament of a bulb, or the crackling heat of a campfire. But there is another kind of light, one that is soft, silent, and cool. It is what scientists call bioluminescence, or quite simply, living light. It is a natural glow found in the furthest, darkest corners of our planet, from the damp floors of ancient forests to the silent, weightless depths of the great oceans. It is a beautiful mystery to consider. How can a living creature create its own light without electricity and without the heat that usually follows? In our world, light almost always means warmth. But in the natural world, light can be as cold as the water it inhabits. It is a quiet miracle of chemistry, a way for life to speak in the dark when there are no words and no sun to see by. If this peaceful journey into the shadows helps you find a sense of rest and wonder, you might consider softly clicking the like button or subscribing to our channel. It is a gentle way to join our community, ensuring we can spend many more quiet evenings together, exploring the silent truths of our universe. Now, I want you to imagine we are standing on the deck of a small wooden boat, drifting on a perfectly still sea. The sun has long since set, and the sky above is a deep velvet black, mirrored perfectly by the water below. As the boat sways ever so slightly, you notice something in the wake, a tiny spark of blue. Then, as a gentle ripple moves outward, 100 more sparks appear, like tiny diamonds waking up in the dark. It is as if the stars from above have decided to dive beneath the surface, turning the dark water into a galaxy of its own. These tiny flickers are just the beginning. To truly understand where this light comes from, we must leave the surface behind. We must begin a slow, weightless descent into the heart of the ocean, where the blue fades into a deep, comforting indigo, and the secrets of the living light begin to reveal themselves. As we begin our slow descent, leaving the ripples of the surface behind, we find ourselves surrounded by a quiet, liquid silence. The light we saw in the wake of the boat is more than just a trick of the eye. It is a biological miracle. Scientists call this bioluminescence, a word that simply means life light. Unlike the sun, which burns with a fierce nuclear heat, this light is born from a gentle chemical reaction within the very cells of a living creature. It is a masterpiece of natural engineering, a way for life to illuminate itself from the inside out. Imagine two tiny components working in perfect harmony inside a single cell. The first is a molecule called luciferin. You can think of luciferin as the fuel, the quiet potential for light, like a sleeping ember. The second component is an enzyme called luciferase. This acts as the catalyst, the gentle hand that wakes the light up. When these two meet in the presence of oxygen, a soft glow is released. It is a process so precise and so calm that it happens without a single flame, without a single spark of heat. It is a chemical conversation whispered in the dark. This is what makes nature so remarkably different from the technology we build. When you touch a light bulb that has been on for an hour, it feels hot to the hand. This is because most of the energy used by the bulb is wasted as heat, escaping into the air rather than becoming light. But in the deep ocean, nature is much more careful with its resources. Bioluminescence is often called cold light. In many species, 20% or less of the energy is lost as heat. In fact, some creatures are so efficient that nearly 95% of the energy they use is turned directly into pure, beautiful light. It is a reminder of how gentle nature can be, using just enough energy to create something spectacular without ever being wasteful or harsh. It is a quiet, efficient brilliance. As you listen to these words, imagine that same efficiency within yourself. Your breathing is steady and effortless. Your heart beats with a calm, rhythmic grace, using just the energy it needs to keep you safe and warm. There is no rush, no friction, just a quiet internal glow. You are resting, just as the ocean rests in its deepest layers. We are sinking deeper now. The indigo of the upper ocean is fading into a heavy, velvety blue and then, finally, into a soft, endless black. We are leaving the world of the sun behind and entering a realm where the only maps are drawn in light. The pressure of the water around us is immense, yet it feels like a warm, supportive embrace guiding us down into the great silent dark. We are moving toward a place where the sun's rays can no longer reach, a place where the darkness is not an empty void, but a canvas for a galaxy we have only just begun to see. We are entering the deep ocean where the how of the light meets the where, and the truly strange and beautiful begin to appear. As we continue our descent, the world above begins to feel like a dream, distant and fleeting. We have crossed a threshold into the bathypelagic layer, a place scientists often call the midnight zone. It begins about 1,000 meters below the surface and stretches down for miles into the heart of the ocean. Here, the weight of the water is immense, a heavy, silent pressure that holds everything in a state of perfect, unmoving stillness. There are no currents here to pull at you, no waves to toss you. There is only the vast, cool peace of the deep. In this zone, the sun is completely forgotten. Not a single ray of light can reach these depths. It is a place of perpetual shadow, where the concept of day and night simply does not exist. To our human eyes, it might seem like a void, an empty space of cold and dark. But if you settle into the stillness and let your eyes adjust, a miracle begins to unfold. The deep sea is not dark at all. It is, in fact, filled with a galaxy of tiny organic stars. Every few feet, a soft blue pulse flickers. A long, thin ribbon of light drifts by like a ghost. Tiny specks of green and gold shimmer in the distance before fading back into the velvet black. This is the most populated environment on our planet, and it is illuminated entirely by the life that calls it home. It is a quiet, rhythmic display of existence, a reminder that even in the most remote corners of the world, life finds a way to shine. As you drift in this underwater starlight, your body feels heavy and relaxed, mirroring the peaceful weight of the deep ocean. Your thoughts are as slow and gentle as the creatures drifting past. You are safe in this quiet darkness, surrounded by the soft, natural beauty of a world few will ever see. And in this vast, lonely space, there is one particular light that catches the eye, a soft, steady beacon that glows with a strange and ancient patience. It is a light that does not flicker or fade, held aloft by one of the most mysterious and iconic inhabitants of the deep. We are moving closer now, toward a single, glowing orb that hangs suspended in the dark, waiting quietly for the world to come to it. The light we see ahead is steady and soft, a tiny orb of pale blue or green that seems to float entirely on its own in the vast velvet dark. It belongs to the anglerfish, a creature of legend in these deep waters. While many think of this fish as a creature of the shadows, in the quiet of the night, it is simply a guardian of a very special and ancient light. This glowing orb is known as the Eska. It is a fleshy growth that extends from the fish's head on a long, thin filament arching forward like a delicate fishing rod held out into the stillness. As you watch this light, notice how it doesn't flicker like a candle in the wind, but glows with a constant rhythmic pulse. The fish itself does not actually produce this light through its own cells. Instead, inside the hollow chamber of the Eska, the fish hosts millions of microscopic, bioluminescent bacteria. This is one of nature's most beautiful and enduring partnerships, a symbiotic relationship where two completely different forms of life depend on one another. The bacteria are provided with a safe, protected home and all the nutrients they need to survive. And in return, they provide the fish with a permanent lantern. It is a quiet, biological contract signed in the depths of the ocean, a testament to how life seeks out connection even in the most solitary places. In the immense, lonely expanse of the midnight zone, where a creature might swim for miles without ever encountering another living soul, this light serves as a vital beacon. It is a soft signal in a world that has no landmarks, no horizon, and no sun. While it is often used to attract curious visitors in the dark, it also represents a point of certainty in the infinite. To look at the glow of the anglerfish is to see a small, persistent flame that refuses to be extinguished by the crushing weight of the sea. It is a comforting presence, a reminder that even in the deepest, coldest reaches of our planet, there is warmth and collaboration. Take a slow, deep breath, feeling the weight of your own body settling into your bed, just as the anglerfish settles into the weightless suspension of the deep. There is no rush here. The light of the Eska will continue to glow for as long as it is needed, a patient star in an underwater sky. As we drift slowly past this solitary lantern, the darkness around us begins to change. The space between the larger lights of the deep is no longer empty. A soft white mist begins to appear, drifting down through the water column like a gentle flurry of winter weather. It falls in slow motion, dancing and swirling in the wake of our movement. This is the phenomenon known as marine snow, a constant, quiet rain of organic material drifting down from the sunlit world far above. And as we watch these tiny flakes descend, we realize that the blizzard is not white, but shimmering with a faint ghostly luminescence of its own. It is a silent, glowing snowfall in the heart of the ocean, turning the dark water into a dreamscape of falling stars. Imagine standing in a vast, dark forest at night as a light flurry of snow begins to fall, catching the moonlight as it drifts between the trees. In the deep ocean, this happens every single day, thousands of feet below the waves, creating one of the most peaceful sights in the natural world. This is marine snow. It is not made of ice or cold crystals, but of the gentle remnants of life from the sunlit surface, tiny specks of organic matter, microscopic shells and minerals that have begun a long, slow journey toward the seafloor. As these particles drift downward, they move with a grace that seems to defy gravity, tumbling and swirling in the invisible, heavy currents of the deep. It is a slow motion rain that connects the world of light above to the eternal stillness below. What makes this snow truly magical is the light it carries within its descent. As these tiny flakes sink through the water column, they are often colonized by specialized bioluminescent bacteria. These microscopic travelers attach themselves to the falling particles, using them as both a source of food and a vessel for their journey. As they settle into their new homes, they begin to glow. This isn't a bright or harsh light, but a soft, milky luminescence that makes each flake look like a tiny fading ember or a distant, flickering star. When you look out into the water of the midnight zone, you aren't just seeing an empty void. You are seeing a blizzard of living light, millions of glowing sticks suspended in the velvet blackness. Scientists have observed that this glowing snow is more than just a beautiful display. It is a vital part of the ocean's rhythm. By glowing, the bacteria make the falling particles more visible to the creatures that live in the dark. In the grand design of the deep, this visibility helps ensure that nothing goes to waste. It is a quiet, shimmering cycle of life and energy that never stops. A constant transfer of nutrients from the top of the ocean to the very bottom, illuminated by the very life that sustains it. The visual effect of this phenomenon is deeply hypnotic. If you were to sit perfectly still in the silence of the deep, you would see this glowing blizzard all around you, stretching out in every direction. It creates a sense of depth and scale that is almost impossible to grasp, a three-dimensional galaxy where every point of light is a tiny organic miracle. The water feels thick with the presence of life, yet it remains perfectly silent. There is no sound of wind, no rustle of leaves, just the quiet rhythmic pulse of the ocean as it cradles this falling light. Take a moment now to synchronize your own breathing with the slow descent of the marine snow. As a flake drifts downward, take a slow, steady breath in, feeling the air fill your lungs with a cool, calm clarity. As the flake settles deeper into the dark, let your breath out slowly, releasing any lingering thoughts from the day. Feel the tension leaving your body, your limbs becoming heavy and relaxed, sinking into your bed just as the snow sinks into the depths. You are part of this quiet rhythm, safe and supported in the velvet stillness of the evening. As we continue to drift through this glowing mist, the marine snow begins to thin, revealing larger, more distinct shapes pulsing in the water ahead. One of these shapes catches the eye with a peculiar, ethereal beauty, a creature so delicate and clear it seems to be made of nothing but water and moonlight. This is the crystal jelly, a translucent bell that carries a secret ring of light around its edge, a soft green glow that would eventually change the way humans understand the very building blocks of life. Imagine the Icoria Victoria, more commonly known as the crystal jelly. It is a masterpiece of minimalism, a creature so clear and delicate it seems less like a living animal and more like a gentle ripple in the water-given form. Its body is a shallow, transparent bell, often no larger than the palm of your hand. In the darkness of the ocean, it is nearly invisible, a ghost drifting through the currents. But as it moves, a soft, ethereal secret begins to reveal itself. Around the very edge of its translucent bell, a ring of nearly 100 tiny light-producing organs begins to glow. It isn't a harsh or startling light, but a soft, mossy green, a circular crown of emerald sparks that pulses with every slow contraction of its body. As you watch the crystal jelly drift, notice how the light seems to be part of its very breath. It doesn't flicker or flash. It glows with a steady, quiet intensity, outlining its circular frame against the infinite black of the water. This specific shade of green is rare in the deep, where blues usually dominate, making the crystal jelly look like a fallen star from a different galaxy. But the true wonder of this creature lies not just in its beauty, but in the profound gift it gave to the world above the surface. Within those glowing spots on the jelly's rim, scientists discovered a substance called green fluorescent protein, or GFP. This discovery was so significant that it eventually earned a Nobel Prize, and for good reason. Before we understood GFP, the inner workings of a living cell were mostly a mystery, hidden in darkness. But by using the genetic instructions from the crystal jelly, researchers found they could attach this glow to other proteins inside living organisms. Think of it as a microscopic lantern. Because of this simple, drifting jellyfish, doctors and scientists can now watch the secret processes of life as they happen. They can see how a cancer cell moves, how a brain cell forms a connection, or how a virus travels through a body, all illuminated by that same soft emerald light. It is a humbling and beautiful thought to hold as you rest. A creature that spends its life in the cold, dark silence of the Pacific Northwest has provided the light we needed to see instead ourselves. The mystery of the deep sea has become a map for the human soul and body, proving that even the smallest, most fragile life can illuminate the world in ways we never imagined. As the crystal jelly fades back into the darkness, its green ring shrinking to a tiny point before vanishing, we begin to notice other shapes nearby. Not all jellies carry their light in a ring, and not all light is a single, steady color. Emerging from the shadows is a different kind of traveler, one that doesn't just glow, but shimmers with the colors of a distant nebula. These are the ctenophores, the comb jellies, and they are about to show us a completely different way to dance with light in the dark. As the green ring of the crystal jelly fades, another shape begins to materialize in the dark, drifting with a quiet, regal grace. This is the ctenophore, more commonly known as the comb jelly. Though they share a name with the jellyfish we just met, they are a distinct and ancient lineage of life. having drifted through the Earth's oceans for hundreds of millions of years. To look at a comb jelly is to look at something that seems less like an animal and more like a delicate living sculpture made of blown glass and starlight. As you watch it move through the stillness, you'll notice something extraordinary. Along the length of its transparent oval body are 8 rows of tiny, hair-like structures called cilia. These are the combs that give the creature its name. To move through the water, these thousands of tiny hairs beat in a coordinated, sequential wave, much like a field of tall grass swaying in the wind. But as they move, they do something breathtaking. They create a shimmering, pulsing rainbow that seems to race up and down the animal's body. It is easy to assume this rainbow is the creature's own light, but the truth is a beautiful lesson in the physics of the deep. The rainbow effect is actually caused by light refraction. As the tiny cilia beat, they scatter the faint ambient light around them, breaking it into a spectrum of vibrant neons, pinks, blues, yellows, and violets that flow in rhythmic patterns. It looks like a series of neon lights moving down a city street, yet it is happening in the total silence of the abyss. However, the comb jelly has another secret. While the rainbow is a trick of physics, the jelly also possesses true bioluminescence. Deep within its translucent tissues, it can produce its own soft, blue-green light. When the jelly is touched or startled, it may emit a gentle glow that travels through its entire frame, turning the glass-like creature into a glowing lantern for a few brief, beautiful seconds. The combination of the refracting rainbow and the internal bioluminescence creates a hypnotic, rhythmic display. It feels like watching a heartbeat made of light, a steady pulsing reminder of the life that thrives in the cold and the dark. There is something deeply soothing about this rhythm. It is a slow visual breath that mirrors the calm of your own resting body. As you visualize the comb jelly drifting, imagine those waves of color moving in time with your own deep inhalations. In this vast, silent world, light is a language, a signal, and a song. But it is also a tool. As we leave the shimmering pulse of the comb jelly behind and sink a little deeper into the shadows, we find that light isn't always used for a gentle dance. For some creatures, light is a clever disguise or a sudden, brilliant shield used to escape the many eyes that watch from the darkness. We are about to meet a small, clever inhabitant of the deep that carries a very special kind of light, a glowing distraction that it can throw like a spark into the night. As we drift further down, leaving the rhythmic pulse of the comb jelly behind, the water becomes even heavier, even more still. In this profound silence, we encounter a small, delicate creature that has mastered a truly remarkable defense. This is the deep-sea shrimp, a tiny inhabitant of the shadows that carries with it what scientists often call a bioluminescent bomb. It sounds like a dramatic term, but in the quiet of the abyss, it is a soft and shimmering miracle of survival. In the sunlit waters near the surface, a squid or a shrimp might release a cloud of dark ink to startle a predator and make an escape. But here, thousands of feet below the waves, ink would be invisible. In a world of total blackness, adding more blackness does nothing to hide you. And so, these clever crustaceans have evolved to use the opposite of darkness. They use a sudden, brilliant bloom of light. Imagine a small shrimp, perhaps a deep velvet red, a color that appears completely black in these depths, resting quietly in the water. When it senses a larger shadow approaching, it doesn't just swim away. It reaches into its own internal chemistry and spews a cloud of glowing blue liquid into the face of the intruder. This is the bioluminescent bomb. It is not an explosion of heat or force, but a sudden, radiant exhale of light. This glowing mist is created by the same chemical reaction we've been exploring, the meeting of luciferin and luciferase. But instead of keeping the light inside its body, the shrimp ejects the glowing chemicals directly into the surrounding water. For a few moments, a bright ethereal blue cloud hangs in the darkness, swirling and expanding like a ghost in the current. It is a startling, beautiful sight. And for a predator whose eyes are tuned to catch the tiniest flicker of movement, this sudden bloom is overwhelming. The predator's attention is immediately drawn to the bright, swirling cloud, which lingers in the water like a handful of tossed stars. While the intruder is distracted by this phantom light, the shrimp flickers its tail and vanishes into the surrounding blackness. It is the ultimate magic trick, using a bright light to become invisible. By the time the blue glow begins to fade and dissipate into the cold water, the shrimp is long gone, tucked safely away in the shadows. There is something deeply comforting about this strategy. It is light used as a shield, a soft, harmless explosion that protects the small and the vulnerable. It reminds us that in nature, brilliance can be a form of protection, and that even the tiniest creatures have a way to find safety in the dark. The glowing cloud is a temporary sanctuary, a brief moment of radiance that allows life to continue its quiet journey. As we watch the last sparks of the shrimp's light drift away and dissolve into the deep blue-black of the water, we continue to sink deeper. The bombs of the shrimp are a clever distraction, but they are not the only way to use light as a master of illusion. Ahead of us, another shape begins to form in the gloom. It is a creature with a name that sounds like it belongs in a Gothic fable, yet its nature is far more gentle and mysterious than its title suggests. We are about to meet the vampire squid, a master of light who carries its own unique lanterns into the deepest parts of the sea. As we move further into the shadows, a shape emerges that looks as though it stepped out of an ancient myth. This is a creature with a name that sounds far more intimidating than its gentle nature suggests. The vampire squid from hell. Its scientific name, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, was given to it by explorers who were struck by its dark, cloak-like webbing and its deep reddish-black color. But in truth, this animal is neither a vampire nor a true squid. It is a soft, quiet scavenger, a relic of a time long past, drifting peacefully in the oxygen-poor depths where few other creatures can survive. The vampire squid is small, barely a foot long, with a body that feels like velvet to the touch. It doesn't hunt with the speed or aggression of its cousins in the sunlit waters above. Instead, it moves with a slow, ghostly grace, using its webbed arms like a delicate umbrella. What makes this creature truly remarkable, however, is its mastery of light. Its entire body is covered in sophisticated light-producing organs called photophores. These are not just simple glowing spots. They are complex biological lanterns that the squid can control with incredible precision. Imagine this creature suspended in the dark, its body invisible, while the tips of its arms glow with a steady, ethereal blue light. To a predator watching from a distance, these 2 points of light might look like the eyes of a much larger animal, or perhaps 2 small, distant pieces of food. The vampire squid is a master of depth perception and illusion. By slowly dimming the lights at the tips of its arms, it creates the sensation that it is shrinking and receding into the distance. To an observer, it looks as though the squid is swimming away at a high speed, when in reality, it is staying perfectly still, simply turning down its own brightness. Then, with a sudden flick of its internal switch, it can turn the lights off entirely. In an environment where sight depends entirely on bioluminescence, a creature that goes dark simply ceases to exist. It vanishes into the velvet blackness, leaving its confused pursuer behind. It is a defense strategy built on subtlety and the manipulation of the senses, a quiet magic trick performed in a world of absolute silence. There is a profound beauty in how this animal uses light not to reveal itself, but to hide. It uses its photophores to draw a map of misdirection, using soft blue sparks to paint a picture of something that isn't there. As we watch the vampire squid drift away, its tiny lanterns pulsing like a slow, rhythmic heartbeat, we begin to notice a pattern. Almost all the lights we have seen so far, the shrimp's defensive cloud, the squid's glowing tips, the pulsing jellies, share the same cool, calming hue. In this vast underwater gallery, the colors of the rainbow are not distributed equally. Most of the living light here is a specific shade of blue or soft pale green. This isn't a coincidence. It is a fundamental rule of the ocean's physics. As we prepare to rise slightly from these crushing depths, we can begin to understand why the deep sea has chosen this particular palette, and how the very nature of water itself has dictated the colors of the world's most mysterious lights. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the weight of the water as we explore why the ocean speaks in shades of blue. As we drift through this silent, midnight world, you may have noticed a recurring theme in the lights that pass by. The sparks of the shrimp, the lanterns of the squid, the glowing bells of the jellyfish, they all share a palette of cool, ethereal blues and soft, shimmering greens. In the deep ocean, the warm colors of a sunset, the fiery reds, the deep oranges, the bright yellows, are almost entirely absent. To understand why, we have to look at the very nature of light itself and how it interacts with the heavy, silent water surrounding us. Imagine the sun's rays touching the surface of the sea far above. Light travels in waves of different lengths, and water acts as a selective filter, choosing which colors to embrace and which to turn away. The longer wavelengths, which our eyes perceive as red and orange, are the first to be absorbed. They lose their energy quickly, disappearing within the first few hundred feet of the surface. This is why, even in relatively shallow water, a red object begins to look dull and gray. As we descend further, the yellows and then the greens follow, until only the shortest, most energetic wavelengths remain. These are the blues. Because blue light has the shortest wavelength, it is the most resilient. It can travel much further through the dense medium of the ocean without being scattered or absorbed by the water molecules. This physical reality has shaped the evolution of almost every living thing in the deep. If a creature wants its signal to be seen across the most empty distances of the midnight zone, it must use the color that the water allows to pass. To use red would be like trying to shout into a thick, soundproof wall. The message would simply vanish before it reached its destination. This has created what scientists often call a universal visual language. Most deep-sea inhabitants have eyes that are incredibly sensitive to blue light, but they are often completely blind to the color red. To them, red isn't just dark, it is invisible, a color that simply doesn't exist in their reality. This shared dialect of blue and green light creates a sense of harmony in the deep, a silent conversation where everyone is tuned to the same frequency. It is an incredibly efficient system where nature has adapted perfectly to the constraints of its environment, using the path of least resistance to light up the dark. In this blue-lit world, the colors we know from the land are like a distant memory. Here, the water itself is a thick velvet curtain that only permits the most persistent light to pass through. This is why the bioluminescence we see feels so cool and calming. It is the color of the deep's own breath. When we see a flash of neon blue or a soft emerald glow, we are seeing the most efficient way to communicate in a realm where energy is precious and every spark must count. This consistency creates a strange kind of peace. There is no clashing of colors, no harsh glare. There is only the steady, rhythmic pulsing of a world that has agreed upon a single, gentle hue. It is the ocean's own specific visual language, a quiet agreement between the hunter and the hunted, the small and the large. But nature is full of surprises, and just when we think we understand the laws of this dark kingdom, we encounter a rebel. As we continue our descent, keep your eyes adjusted to the soft blue glow, but prepare yourself for a flicker of something impossible. We are about to meet a predator that has found a way to break the rules and gain a hidden advantage. It is a master of the shadows that carries a lantern no one else can see, the dragonfish. The dragonfish is a creature that seems to belong to a different dimension, a small but remarkable inhabitant of the deep that has found a way to circumvent the very laws of physics that govern its neighbors. While the rest of the midnight zone has settled into a peaceful, blue-tinted existence, the dragonfish carries a secret. Below its eyes, it possesses specialized light organs that do something almost unheard of in these depths. They produce a soft, deep red glow. In a world where red light is the first color to be filtered out by the water, and where almost every living eye has evolved to be completely blind to those long, slow wavelengths, the dragonfish's red light is essentially a phantom. To any other fish swimming nearby, the dragonfish remains shrouded in total, impenetrable darkness. But to the dragonfish itself, the world is suddenly illuminated. It possesses unique pigments in its eyes that allow it to see the very red light it produces, granting it a biological advantage that feels almost like magic. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a vast pitch-black forest where everyone else is navigating by the faint, shimmering glow of blue stars. Now imagine that you are the only one carrying a hidden infrared flashlight. You can sweep your beam across the path, seeing every leaf, every branch and every hidden creature, while to everyone else, you are just another shadow in the dark. This is the reality of the dragonfish. It uses its red light like a sniper's night vision goggles, illuminating its prey, often small crustaceans or unsuspecting fish, without ever alerting them to its presence. It is a quiet, invisible flashlight in the deep. This tactical brilliance allows the dragonfish to hunt with incredible efficiency, using its secret frequency to observe a world that believes it is hidden. It is a reminder that nature often finds a way to break the rules, creating specialized tools for those who live in the most extreme environments. There is something deeply comforting in the idea of this private light, a gentle glow intended for only one pair of eyes, flickering steadily in the vastness of the abyss. As we sit with the image of this clever hidden light, let yourself feel the stillness that surrounds the dragonfish. The water here is heavy, silent, and ancient. But our journey in the deepest trenches is coming to a gentle close. It is time to begin our slow, easy ascent back toward the world of dim sunbeams and shifting shadows. Take a slow, deep breath in, feeling the air fill your lungs with a quiet rhythm. And as you exhale, imagine the pressure of the deep sea slowly lifting. We are beginning to rise, drifting upward through the water column like a tiny bubble of air. The darkness of the midnight zone is gradually softening, turning from a heavy velvet black into a deep dark indigo. We are entering the transition zone, moving toward the space where the very last reaches of the sun meet the beginning of the eternal dark. Feel your body becoming lighter as we move toward the surface. The journey upward is unhurried and peaceful. We are leaving the world of invisible red lights and moving toward a place where light is used not just to see, but to disappear. As the water around us begins to shimmer with the faint, ghostly memory of daylight, we prepare to discover the art of the shadow. As we continue our gentle ascent, the water around us begins to shift. The absolute heavy blackness of the midnight zone is gradually giving way to something a little softer, a little more translucent. We are entering the mesopelagic layer, often called the twilight zone. It is a place of perpetual dusk, where the sun's rays have traveled through hundreds of meters of water, losing their warmth and their color until only a faint, ethereal blue remains. In this realm of shadows, light becomes a complex tool for survival. There is just enough illumination filtering down from the surface to create a dangerous situation for any small creature. If you were a predator swimming in these depths, looking upward, any fish passing above you would appear as a sharp, dark silhouette against the dim glow of the sky. You would see them clearly, like a cutout moving across a screen of frosted glass. To stay safe, the inhabitants of the twilight zone have mastered a technique that seems almost like a magic trick: counter-illumination. This is the art of hiding in the light. Many species of fish, squid, and even some types of shrimp have bellies lined with specialized light-producing organs called photophores. These organs are not meant to attract attention or light the way forward. Instead, they are designed to emit a soft, downward-facing glow that perfectly mimics the light coming from the surface. Think of how incredible this coordination is. These creatures can actually sense the intensity of the light coming from above and adjust their own bioluminescence to match it with startling precision. If a cloud passes over the sun miles above, or as the day fades into evening, the fish will dim its belly lights accordingly. By doing so, it erases its own shadow. To a predator looking up from the darkness below, the fish simply disappears. It blends perfectly into the blue haze, becoming invisible by using the very light that should have revealed it. It is a beautiful, quiet irony, using light to become a shadow. This is the ultimate camouflage, a biological cloak of invisibility that allows life to thrive in open water, where there are no reefs to hide behind and no caves to retreat into. The ocean here is an endless, blue-gray expanse, and yet it is crowded with these invisible residents, each one carrying its own internal lamp to stay hidden. As we drift deeper into this shimmering twilight zone, the water feels alive with this hidden activity. We are moving through a space where the rules of the surface world no longer apply, and where every spark of light serves a deep, vital purpose. The pressure continues to ease, and our journey upward brings us closer to a group of travelers who call this zone home, but who are preparing for a massive nightly migration toward the stars. We are entering the domain of the most numerous vertebrates on our planet, creatures who carry the map of their own identity written in light across their bodies. Take a slow, steady breath as we settle into this middle world, where the sunlight and the living light finally meet in a peaceful, blue harmony. In these quiet, mid-level waters, we encounter a creature that is as humble as it is extraordinary. They are the lanternfish, members of the Mectophytae family. And though you may never have seen one, they are likely the most numerous vertebrates on our entire planet. There are trillions of them, small and shimmering, filling the ocean's depths with a presence that is felt more than it is seen. As the sun dips below the horizon and the world above grows dark, these tiny fish begin a journey that is arguably the greatest migration on Earth. Every single night, they rise from the cold, crushing pressures of the deep, swimming hundreds of meters toward the surface to feed in the nutrient-rich waters under the cover of darkness. Imagine, if you will, the scale of this movement. It is a massive, silent wave of life pulsing upward through the water column. These fish are not much larger than a human finger, yet their collective impact is staggering. They are the heartbeat of the ocean's ecosystem, moving like a slow, rhythmic tide. As they swim, they carry with them their own internal lanterns. If you were to look closely at a lanternfish, you would see rows of tiny jewel-like organs along its sides and belly. These are photophores, and they are far from random. Each species of lanternfish has its own unique arrangement of these lights, a glowing fingerprint that allows them to recognize their own kind in the vast ink-black void. In the darkness of the open sea, these patterns act as a silent language, a flash here, a steady glow there. It is a way of saying, I am here, and you are like me. It is a comforting thought that even in the loneliest stretches of the deep, there is a way to find one's community through the simple sharing of light. As they reach the upper layers of the ocean, just beneath the waves, they create a mirror to the sky above. Billions of tiny organic stars drift through the water, mimicking the constellations that hang in the air. It is a moment where the boundaries between the sea and the cosmos seem to blur, as if the ocean itself is reaching up to touch the galaxy. Take a deep, slow breath and imagine yourself floating in this liquid ski, surrounded by the gentle, rhythmic blinking of 1,000,000,000,000 tiny lanterns. There is no sound here, only the soft movement of the water and the steady, cool glow of life in motion. This migration is a testament to the endurance of nature, a nightly ritual that has continued for millions of years, choreographed by the rising and setting of the sun. But as these individual sparks of light gather and move, they sometimes give way to an even more mysterious phenomenon, a light so vast and uniform that it can be seen from space. As we leave the individual paths of the lanternfish behind, we begin to notice the water around us changing. The scattered sparks are fading into a singular, hauntingly beautiful glow that stretches toward the horizon, leading us toward the legendary mystery of the Milky Seas. For hundreds of years, sailors returned from the vast, lonely stretches of the Indian Ocean with stories that sounded more like fever dreams than reality. They spoke of a phantom sea, a place where the dark ink-black water suddenly transformed into a luminous, milky white, stretching as far as the eye could see in every direction. They described it as sailing across a field of snow or gliding through a sky made of glowing clouds. For a long time, these accounts were dismissed as maritime legends, or perhaps the tricks of a tired mind under the weight of a long voyage. But we now know that these milky seas are very real, and they are one of the most breathtaking displays of life on our planet. Unlike the flickering blue sparks we often see in the wake of a boat, which disappear as quickly as they arrive, the light of the Milky Seas is different. It is steady, it is uniform, it is a soft, hauntingly beautiful glow that can cover thousands of square miles of open ocean. To stand on the deck of a ship in the middle of such a phenomenon is to feel as though the world has been turned upside down. The sky above is dark, but the ocean below is a brilliant, glowing white, illuminating the sails and the faces of everyone on board with a gentle, ethereal light. The science behind this miracle is a testament to the power of cooperation. This immense glow is caused by trillions upon trillions of bioluminescent bacteria, specifically a species known as Vibrio harveyi. While a single bacterium is far too small to be seen by the human eye, they possess a remarkable ability called quorum sensing. They communicate with one another through chemical signals, waiting until their population reaches a specific density. It is as if they are all whispering to each other in the dark, waiting for the perfect moment. Once there are enough of them gathered together, they all flip the switch at the exact same time. In an instant, the ocean is blanketed in light. It is the largest bioluminescent display on Earth, so vast and so bright that it can be seen by satellites orbiting high above our atmosphere. Imagine the stillness of that moment. The ship's hull cutting through a liquid cloud, the water glowing with a silent cold fire that produces no heat, only a sense of profound wonder. There is no turbulence here, no crashing waves, just a peaceful, glowing plain that seems to whisper of the hidden connections between all living things. As we linger in the memory of this glowing sea, let yourself feel the weight of your body against your bed, as steady and supported as a ship on a calm harbor. Take a slow, deep breath, imagining that cool, white light filling the room with a sense of quiet security. The Milky Seas remind us that even the smallest, most invisible parts of nature can come together to create something magnificent. But as we drift away from these deep ocean clouds of light, we begin to feel the gentle pull of the tides. The vast open horizon starts to narrow, and the deep rhythmic pulse of the ocean carries us closer to the shore. The water here is shallower, warmer, and full of different kinds of magic. We are leaving the mystery of the deep behind and moving toward the familiar sound of waves lapping against the sand, where a different kind of light is waiting to greet us under the summer stars. As we approach the shore, the deep, heavy silence of the open sea gives way to the rhythmic, comforting sound of waves meeting the sand. On a warm summer night, if you were to stand at the water's edge, you might notice something extraordinary as the surf breaks. Instead of the usual white foam, the crests of the waves are tinged with a brilliant electric blue. It is as if the stars from the sky have fallen into the surf and are being tossed about by the tide, creating a shimmering fringe that follows the curve of the coastline. This beautiful phenomenon is caused by dinoflagellates. These are tiny, single-celled organisms, a type of plankton that drifts near the surface of the ocean. They are far too small to see with the naked eye during the day, but they carry a microscopic wonder within them. These tiny life forms are sensitive to motion. When the water around them is disturbed, whether by a breaking wave, a passing boat, or a swimming fish, they emit a sudden, brief flash of light. It is a startled response, a biological alarm meant to distract anything that might try to eat them. But to us, it looks like a liquid neon dream. Imagine walking along the edge of the water where the sand is still dark and damp from the receding tide. With every step you take, the pressure of your foot triggers 1,000 tiny sparks. Your footprints glow with a soft, ethereal blue that lingers for just a heartbeat before fading back into the darkness. If you were to dip an oar into the water, or simply run your hand through the surface, you would leave a swirling, glowing trail behind you, like a brushstroke of bioluminescence on a dark, liquid canvas. It is a silent, glowing wake that traces your path through the night. There is something deeply peaceful about this interaction. It feels as though the ocean is responding to your presence, acknowledging your touch with a gentle gift of light. It isn't a harsh or blinding glow, but a soft, cool shimmer that mirrors the rhythm of your movements. It invites you to slow down, to breathe in the cool night air, and to notice the magic in the smallest of things. In this moment, the vastness of the ocean feels intimate and kind, a living world that reacts to a gentle touch with beauty rather than force. We stand there for a moment, watching the waves roll in and out, each one bringing a fresh scattering of blue diamonds to the shore. The air is salty and cool, refreshing your senses as you listen to the steady shush of the water. But as we turn our backs to the sea, we feel the landscape begin to change. The sand beneath our feet becomes drier and warmer, eventually giving way to the soft, swaying grasses of the dunes. The sound of the waves begins to fade into a distant, soothing hum, and the sharp scent of the salt air begins to mix with the sweet, earthy fragrance of the land. The sun has long since set, and the world is draped in the velvet colors of twilight. We are leaving the world of water behind now, stepping away from the glowing tides and into the quiet, still embrace of a summer night on solid ground. Here, among the tall grass and the shadows of the trees, a different kind of light is waiting to reveal itself, a light that belongs to the earth and the air, guiding us further into the heart of the night. As the sound of the ocean fades into a soft, rhythmic memory behind us, we find ourselves stepping onto the firm, familiar ground of a summer evening on land. The transition is gentle, like the slow turning of a page. The air here feels different, thicker, warmer, and filled with the sweet, heavy scent of wild clover and freshly cut grass that has been baking in the sun all day. It is a scent that carries the essence of the earth, grounding us in a way the restless sea cannot. Take a slow, deep breath and notice how the atmosphere has changed. The constant shush of the waves has been replaced by a new kind of silence, a terrestrial hush that is layered with the tiny, intricate sounds of the night. You can hear the steady, pulsing song of the crickets, a rhythmic vibration that seems to come from every direction at once. It is a comforting, hypnotic sound, a natural lullaby that signals the world is settling down for its rest. The ground beneath your feet is no longer the shifting sand of the beach, but the soft, cool carpet of a well-tended lawn, or the mossy floor of a quiet garden. It is a curious thing to realize that while the vast, deep oceans are teeming with billions of glowing creatures, bioluminescence on land is a much rarer gift. In the salt water, light is a common language, spoken by everything from the smallest plankton to the strangest fish in the abyss. It is almost as if the ocean uses light to fill the space where the sun cannot reach. But on the land, the rules are different. Here, light is a secret language reserved for only a few special inhabitants of the night. This rarity makes the sight of a glowing creature on land feel even more magical, a small, precious miracle hidden in the shadows of our own backyards. There is a deep primal comfort in this setting. We have left the cold, mysterious depths of the midnight zone and the shimmering, restless waves of the coast. Now, we are in a place of stillness and warmth. Imagine sitting on a porch or leaning against the trunk of an ancient oak tree, feeling the rough bark against your shoulder. The trees are dark silhouettes against a sky that is just beginning to show its first stars, and their leaves whisper in a breeze so light it barely stirs the air. The grass holds on to the last of the day's warmth, radiating a gentle heat that feels like a soft blanket wrapped around your ankles. In this quiet, terrestrial world, we wait. We watch the shadows deepen between the trees and in the tall grass near the garden's edge, knowing that soon the darkness will be broken. It won't be the neon blue of the ocean waves, but a different color entirely, a warm, golden-green glow that feels much closer to home. We are standing on the threshold of a different kind of light show, one that many of us remember from the long, slow evenings of our childhood. In the stillness of the backyard, a tiny living lantern is about to wake up and tell its story. And then, there it is, a single, tiny spark of gold hovering just above the tall grass. It's a firefly. Some call them fireflies, others call them lightning bugs. Both names are beautiful, evoking the image of a small piece of the sun or a miniature bolt of lightning captured in a tiny, delicate body. But, interestingly enough, these little lanterns are neither flies nor bugs. They are actually beetles, belonging to the scientific family Lampyridae. This name comes from the Greek word lampein, which simply means to shine. It is a fitting title for a creature that has spent millions of years perfecting the art of the glow. As you sit there in the deepening twilight, the first firefly soon joined by another, and then another. They rise from the shadows of the hedges like tiny, weightless lanterns. It's a sight that feels like a shared memory, something from a childhood summer where time didn't seem to matter quite as much. The air is thick and sweet with the scent of clover and damp earth, and the fireflies move through it with a slow, effortless grace. They don't fly in straight lines. They dance, rising and falling in the air, tracing invisible paths through the dark. There are over 2,000 different species of fireflies scattered across the globe, and each one carries its own unique signature of light. If you watch closely, you'll notice that they don't all blink at the same time or in the same way. Some give long, slow pulses of amber light, while others prefer quick, rhythmic flashes of emerald green. It is a silent, visual language, a code written in the air. Each species has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat of light. Some prefer the high branches of the oak trees, while others stay low, hovering just inches above the grass. To see a field of fireflies on a warm summer evening is to see the stars come down to earth. They drift among the branches like floating embers, blinking in and out of existence, creating a world that feels both ancient and deeply familiar. It is a light that invites you to close your eyes and simply be present. You can feel your breathing slowing down to match the steady rhythmic pulse of the golden sparks around you. Each blink is a gentle reminder that the world is still and that you are safe in this quiet, glowing garden. But the most incredible thing about this light isn't just its beauty, it's the way it's created. Within the small, translucent segment of the firefly's abdomen lies a secret, a tiny living factory that produces light with an efficiency that human technology can still barely replicate. Unlike a lamp that we plug into a wall, which can get hot to the touch, the firefly's glow is perfectly cool. It is a masterpiece of biological engineering that works with the simplicity of a breath. To understand the firefly, we must look closer at how they manage to control this light, turning it on and off with the precision of a master conductor. To understand how this tiny creature controls its glow with such breathtaking precision, we have to look at the way it breathes. Unlike us, a firefly doesn't have lungs to pull in deep breaths of air. Instead, it has a network of incredibly thin tubes called tracheoles that deliver oxygen directly to its cells. This oxygen is the key, the final essential ingredient that turns a quiet chemical mixture into a brilliant flash of light. Imagine the firefly's light organ as a room filled with fuel waiting for a single spark. Inside that organ, the chemicals luciferin and luciferase are always present, resting in a state of calm. But they cannot create light on their own. They need oxygen to complete the reaction. The firefly acts as a master of its own internal atmosphere, carefully guarding the gateway where the air enters. When the firefly is ready to shine, it allows a quick, measured pulse of oxygen to flood into the light organ. The moment the oxygen touches the chemicals, the spark occurs and the abdomen glows with that familiar, soft radiance. When the firefly wants the light to fade, it simply restricts the flow of oxygen once more. It is a biological dimmer switch, one that operates with the speed and subtlety of a heartbeat. By controlling the timing and the amount of air that reaches its lantern, the firefly can create long, lingering glows or sharp, staccato blinks. This isn't a mechanical process. It is a living, breathing rhythm. It's as if the firefly is exhaling light, sending its silent messages out into the cool evening air. This level of control is what allows each firefly to participate in the complex social dances of the meadow. They aren't just blinking at random. They are speaking with the very air they breathe. It's a peaceful thought, isn't it, that a creature so small can master the elements within its own body to create something so beautiful. There is no friction, no heat, and no wasted effort. Just a gentle, rhythmic pulse that mirrors the natural cycles of the world around it. As you watch these lights drift through the trees, you might find your own breathing beginning to sync with theirs. A slow inhale, a quiet pause, and a long, relaxing exhale. Just as the firefly manages its internal light with a sense of calm and purpose, you can allow your own body to settle into a deep, steady rhythm. The world outside is dark, but it is filled with these tiny, controlled bursts of life, reminding us that even the smallest breath can create a glow that cuts through the shadows. But this mastery of light doesn't appear suddenly when the firefly reaches adulthood. It is a gift that is present almost from the very beginning of its journey. Long before the firefly develops its wings and takes to the summer sky, it exists in a much humbler form, tucked away in the damp earth and the thick green moss of the forest floor. Even in these early stages of life, the spark is already there, waiting to be discovered in the quiet corners of the undergrowth. If you were to lean in close to the damp, cool earth on a quiet summer evening, away from the flickering dancers in the air, you might notice a different kind of magic happening right at your feet. Tucked away in the velvet folds of the moss or hidden beneath the broad leaf of a fern, there is a tiny, steady pulse of light that doesn't move. This is the creature often called the glowworm. While the name suggests something entirely separate from the fireflies we see in the sky, these little lanterns are actually the very same insects in their youth. Most fireflies begin their lives as larvae, living humble, earthbound lives long before they ever develop the wings that will eventually carry them toward the stars. In this early stage of life, the glowworm is a master of the undergrowth. It moves slowly through the leaf litter, a tiny architect of the soil, but it carries the same chemical wonder within its body that its parents do. However, for a young firefly, the light serves a very different purpose. It isn't a greeting or a call for a companion. It is a quiet, luminous shield. You see, these larvae possess a natural defense, a group of chemicals called lucibufagins, which make them taste incredibly bitter and unpleasant to anything that might try to eat them. Over millions of years, nature has taught the creatures of the forest that a certain kind of light means a very bad meal. When a glowworm shines its light from the safety of a mossy crevice, it is sending a clear, peaceful warning to the world. I am here, and I am not to be disturbed. It is a biological "do not disturb" sign, written in a soft emerald ink. Because they are vulnerable and slow-moving, this steady glow protects them through the long, dark hours of their development. Instead of the rhythmic blinking we associate with the adults, the larvae often emit a more constant, lingering radiance. It is a fixed point of light in an ever-changing world, a tiny, steady emerald jewel nestled deep within the green shadows of the forest floor. There is something deeply comforting about the thought of these small, grounded lights. While the world above is filled with movement and the rush of the wind, the glowworm remains still, anchored to the earth, quietly radiating its presence. It reminds us that even in our most vulnerable states, when we are still growing and finding our way, we have the capacity to create our own safety and our own light. It is a patient kind of existence, a time of quiet preparation and steady internal glowing. As these larvae mature, their relationship with light begins to shift. The defensive glow of their youth starts to give way to a new, more complex purpose. Once they emerge from their cocoons and take to the air, the solitary light of the forest floor transforms into a social language. The keep away message of the glowworm fades, replaced by the come closer invitation of the adult firefly. This transition marks the beginning of one of nature's most beautiful conversations, a silent, glowing Morse code that fills the woods with meaning. The light is no longer just a shield. It becomes a voice, a way for thousands of individuals to find one another in the vast velvet expanse of the night. This language of light is intricate and precise, a delicate dance of timing and rhythm that we are only just beginning to understand. Imagine, if you will, the forest as a vast, dark library where every book is written in flickering gold. This is the Morse code of the night, a silent language spoken by thousands of tiny lanterns drifting through the cool evening air. As you lie there, perfectly still, you can visualize the air around you filling with these gentle, rhythmic pulses of light. It is a conversation that has been happening for millions of years, one that requires no sound, only the patient observation of the dark. In this glowing dialogue, the roles are often clearly defined by nature. The male fireflies are the travelers. They take to the sky, weaving through the branches and over the tall grass, casting their signals into the shadows. They are searching for a response, a tiny spark of recognition from the world below. The females, meanwhile, usually remain nestled in the grass or perched on the low leaves of a bush. They are the quiet listeners of the forest floor, watching the aerial display with a discerning eye. They do not flash at random. Instead, they wait for a very specific signal, a signature that matches their own. You see, each species of firefly has its own unique flash pattern, a biological dialect that ensures they find their own kind in the crowded darkness. For some, the message is a single, long, lingering glow that fades slowly like a dying ember. For others, it is a sharp, energetic double blink, a quick hello that repeats every few seconds with mathematical precision. There are even some species that fly in a specific shape while they glow, such as the Big Dipper firefly, which swoops downward and then upward, creating a glowing letter J against the velvet backdrop of the trees. It is a beautiful thought that in the middle of a silent woods, there is an incredibly complex and busy social world unfolding through light. If you were to look closely, you would see that the forest is not just blinking, it is communicating. A male may pulse 3 times, wait 2 seconds, and pulse again. A female, recognizing that specific rhythm, will wait a precise amount of time, perhaps exactly half a second, before offering a single, soft pulse in return. This timing is so exact that it acts as a key in a lock. It is a peaceful, luminous courtship that transforms the night into a tapestry of golden threads. This silent conversation is happening all around us, often unnoticed. It is a reminder that even in the deepest stillness, life is active, reaching out and connecting. Each spark is a tiny heartbeat of light, a small "I am here" whispered into the vastness of the world. It is a world of gentle, flickering certainties. But as mesmerizing as these individual conversations are, there are moments when the individual voices begin to merge. There are places in the world where the Morse code of the forest stops being a collection of separate messages and begins to transform into something much larger. Sometimes the rhythm of one firefly begins to influence the rhythm of another, leading to a phenomenon that feels less like a conversation and more like a symphony. This transition from the individual to the collective is one of the most breathtaking sights in the natural world, as thousands of separate sparks begin to find a shared, singular pulse. This rare and breathtaking phenomenon finds its most famous stage in the ancient, mist-covered valleys of the Great Smoky Mountains. Here, deep within the Appalachian Range, there is a specific species known as the synchronous firefly, and they perform a ritual that feels less like biology and more like a choreographed dream. Imagine standing in a quiet clearing as the blue hour of twilight fades into a deep velvety black. The air is cool and damp, carrying the scent of damp earth and hemlock needles. At first, the woods are still, but then, almost as if a silent conductor has raised a baton, the darkness begins to pulse. Unlike the scattered random flickering we might see in a backyard, these thousands of fireflies begin to blink in perfect rhythmic unison. They are not merely glowing, they are breathing light together. This isn't just a few dozen insects near a single bush. It is an entire hillside, a vast stretch of forest floor, and the canopy above, all flashing at the exact same moment. They glow for a few seconds, a shimmering wave of gold that illuminates the ferns and the mossy trunks of the trees, and then, just as suddenly, every single light goes out at once. For a few moments, the forest is plunged back into a total heavy dense and a profound darkness. Then the pulse returns, thousands of tiny lanterns reigniting in a single unified heartbeat. Scientists believe this rare behavior is a way for the males to ensure their specific signal isn't lost in a chaotic crowd. By blinking together, they create a clear, unmistakable pattern that the females can recognize from a distance. To the human observer, however, it creates a visual experience that is deeply meditative. The light doesn't just stay in one place, it often moves in waves. You might see the synchronization start at the edge of a stream and watch as the pulse of light travels upward through the trees like a glowing ripple moving across a dark pond. It is a display of total harmony, where the boundaries between thousands of individual creatures seem to dissolve, leaving behind only a single living organism made of light. In this moment, the forest feels as though it is whispering a secret about the interconnectedness of all things. There is no competition in this display, only a collective effort to be seen and understood. The rhythm is steady, predictable, and incredibly soothing. It is the heartbeat of the woods, a soft, golden reminder of the order and beauty that exists, even in the deepest shadows of the night. As you visualize these waves of light moving through the ancient trees, take a moment to settle deeper into your own surroundings. Feel the weight of your body supported by your bed, much like the forest floor supports the quiet life above it. If you need to, take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, adjust your pillow or pull your blanket a little closer. Let your own breathing fall into a natural, easy rhythm, mirroring the gentle, unhurried pulse of the fireflies. Feel the stillness of the woods around you, a place where time slows down and the only thing that matters is the soft, recurring glow of the night. You are safe, you are still, and you are part of this quiet, luminous world. In the silence between the pulses of light, there is a profound peace that invites you to simply be, resting in the harmony of the natural world. Consider for a moment the quiet miracle of the firefly's lantern. It is a tiny specialized organ that produces light with a precision that human engineers have envied for centuries. When we think of light in our own homes, we often think of the warmth of a bedside lamp or the glow of a bulb in the hallway. But for most of human history, our methods of creating light have been incredibly wasteful. If you were to reach out and touch an old-fashioned incandescent light bulb that has been shining for an hour, you would find it uncomfortably hot to the touch. This is because those bulbs are remarkably inefficient. They work by heating a thin wire until it glows, a process that consumes a vast amount of energy. In fact, a standard light bulb wastes about 90% of its energy as heat, leaving only a small 10% to actually provide the light we need to see. The firefly, however, has mastered a much more elegant solution. The light it produces is what scientists call cold light. In the firefly's lantern, the chemical reaction between luciferin and oxygen is so perfectly tuned that almost no energy is lost as heat. Nearly 100% of the energy fueled by that reaction is converted directly into light. If a firefly were as inefficient as a human light bulb, the heat generated by its own glow would be enough to harm the delicate tissues of its body. Instead, the firefly remains cool and comfortable, a living testament to nature's ability to achieve maximum results with minimal waste. It is, by many accounts, the most efficient light producer ever discovered on our planet. This efficiency allows the firefly to pulse its signal for hours on end, night after night, without exhausting its tiny reserves of energy. It is a gentle, sustainable brilliance that fits perfectly within the quiet economy of the forest. As you reflect on this perfect design, let your gaze wander down from the blinking lights in the canopy and the air. Imagine your eyes adjusting to the deeper shadows near the ground, where the fireflies occasionally land to rest. The air is still here, cooled by the damp earth and the thick carpet of fallen leaves. Up above, the lights are rhythmic and moving, but down here on the forest floor, a different kind of glow begins to reveal itself. It isn't a flash or a pulse, but a steady, ghostly radiance that seems to emerge from the very heart of the wood itself. This is a light that doesn't travel, it lingers. It is a soft emerald hum of color that clings to the bark of decaying logs and the undersides of ancient stumps. We are leaving the world of the winged lanterns and moving into the realm of the silent, stationary glow of the earth, a phenomenon known for centuries as foxfire. Here, in the stillness of the moss and the shadows of the roots, the forest reveals yet another way that life can hold back the darkness. Take a slow, steady breath as we settle into the cool, damp fragrance of the forest floor, ready to discover the secrets of the light that grows in the wood. Imagine you're walking along a path where the moonlight is blocked by the thick, overlapping branches of the canopy above. Your eyes have fully adjusted to the deep indigo of the night, and the world around you is a symphony of shadows and soft textures. As you step carefully over a gnarled root, you notice a soft, persistent light emanating from a fallen oak tree resting in the ferns. It isn't a reflection of the moon, and it isn't the fleeting, rhythmic spark of a firefly. It is a steady, unwavering luminescence that seems to breathe from within the wood itself, a ghostly emerald radiance that clings to the bark like a layer of fallen stars. This phenomenon is known as foxfire. For centuries, travelers and forest dwellers have shared stories about these glowing logs, sometimes calling them fairy fire or cold fire. But the truth, while less supernatural, is no less magical. The glow doesn't actually come from the wood itself, but from the living organisms that have made the decaying timber their home. It is produced by certain species of bioluminescent fungi. Whether it is the delicate, fan-shaped caps of the bitter oyster mushroom or the sprawling hidden networks of the honey mushroom, these organisms transform the dark corners of the woods into a luminous gallery, while the firefly uses its light as a signal, a flickering, urgent conversation in the air. The fungus uses its light as a quiet, constant presence. The glow is created by the same fundamental chemistry we've explored, the interaction of the molecule luciferin with oxygen. But here, the reaction is slow and rhythmic. The mycelium, which is the fine, thread-like network of the fungus spreading through the damp wood, saturates the fibers with this gentle light. Because the reaction is so incredibly stable, Arbor can glow for days, weeks, or even as long as the wood remains moist and the fungus stays healthy. It is a persistent, cool, pale green radiance that never flickers and never generates even a hint of heat. In the absolute darkness of an old-growth forest, this light is surprisingly functional. It serves as a natural nightlight for the forest floor, a soft beacon in the shadows. If you were to pick up a piece of this glowing wood, you might find it bright enough to see the lines on your own palm or to illuminate the mossy path directly beneath your feet. It creates a surreal, dreamlike landscape where the ground itself seems to be dreaming in color. The soft green light cast long, gentle shadows across the velvet moss, turning the underside of the forest into a cathedral of living light. It is a quiet, steady companion for the small creatures that move through the leaf litter in the late hours of the night, providing a sense of direction in a world without sun. As you stand there in your mind, watching the silent emerald glow of the foxfire, you might begin to wonder about the purpose behind such a display. In the natural world, energy is a precious resource, rarely spent without a reason. Why would a fungus, which has no eyes to see and no wings to fly, invest its energy into creating light? Why would a silent inhabitant of the soil choose to reveal itself so clearly in the dark? As we linger here in the cool, damp air of the woods, let's look closer at the hidden intentions behind this fungal brilliance and how a simple glow helps life continue its cycle on the forest floor. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the stillness of the trees as we explore the why behind the light in the wood. The mystery of the foxfire's glow is not merely a beautiful accident of biology, but a purposeful invitation designed by nature over millions of years. While we might find the soft green light of a decaying log to be a source of wonder and tranquility, for the fungus, it is a functional tool for survival. In the dense, crowded world of the forest floor, where space and resources are limited, a fungus must find ways to spread its legacy to new areas. It does this through spores, microscopic seeds that drift on the wind or hitch a ride on the backs of others. But in the still, damp air of the lower forest canopy, the wind often fails to reach the hidden crevices where these mushrooms grow. This is where the light becomes essential. By glowing with a steady emerald radiance, the fungus creates a visual beacon for the night-flying insects of the woods. Beetles, flies, and ants are naturally drawn to the light. Much like a moth is drawn to a porch lamp, they land on the glowing caps or crawl through the luminous wood, and as they move, thousands of tiny spores cling to their legs and bodies. When these tiny travelers eventually move on to a new fallen tree or a fresh patch of soil, they carry the fungus with them, acting as a silent courier service. It is a gentle, efficient partnership. The insects are guided through the dark, and the fungus ensures its future generations will find a home. This realization turns the forest floor into a busy, albeit quiet, network of light and movement, where every glow has a destination. Perhaps even more remarkable is the discovery that these fungi are not simply always on. Science has revealed that many bioluminescent mushrooms possess a sophisticated internal clock known as a circadian rhythm, much like the one that governs our own sleep and wake cycles. They do not waste their precious energy glowing during the bright hours of the day when the sun would easily wash out their delicate light. Instead, they have evolved to sense the transition from day to night. As the sun dips below the horizon and the forest begins to cool, the fungus wakes up its chemical factory. It ramps up the production of luciferin and luciferase just as the darkness becomes absolute, ensuring its signal is at its brightest when the insects are most active. This means that even a simple mushroom rooted in the earth and hidden from the sky has a profound sense of time. It feels the rhythm of the planet's rotation, synchronized with the movement of the stars and the rising of the moon. It is a comforting thought to realize that even in the smallest, most quiet corners of the woods, there is a sense of order and timing, a biological heartbeat that matches our own. The forest doesn't just exist in the dark. It waits, it breathes, and it illuminates itself exactly when the time is right. As we let the image of the glowing forest floor fade into a soft, green memory, we begin to move away from the open air of the woods. We follow the trail of light deeper, leaving the trees behind and stepping into the cool, still entrance of a hidden world. The air here is damp and carries the scent of stone and ancient water. We are moving away from the moss and the wind, descending into the quiet embrace of the earth itself, where a different kind of living light awaits us in the silence of the caves. Take a slow, steady breath as the ceiling above you begins to transform into a subterranean galaxy of stars. As we step deeper into the cool, damp darkness of the earth, we find ourselves stepping into a small, sturdy wooden boat. There is no engine, no oars hitting the water, only the gentle, rhythmic sound of a rope being pulled, guiding us slowly into the heart of the Waitomo Caves in New Zealand. The air here is perfectly still, carrying the faint, clean scent of limestone and slow-moving water. As the light from the cave entrance fades away, you're enveloped in a darkness so complete it feels like velvet against your skin. But then, as you tilt your head back to look at the ceiling, the darkness breaks. Above you, stretched across the jagged stone canopy, is a sight that defies the very idea of being underground. It looks as though someone has reached into the night sky, gathered a handful of the brightest stars, and scattered them across the roof of the cavern. Thousands upon thousands of tiny sapphire-colored lights shimmer in the silence, their glow reflected in the obsidian mirror of the water beneath the boat. It is a subterranean galaxy, a secret universe hidden away from the sun. These stars are not celestial bodies, but a remarkable creature known as Arachnocompha luminosa, the New Zealand glowworm. Despite their name, they are actually the larval stage of a small fungus gnat, and their life in the cave is a master class in patience and delicate beauty. Each tiny larva creates a nest of silk on the ceiling and then lowers dozens of long, shimmering threads, each one as thin as a strand of spider web. To help these threads catch the eye of wandering insects, the glowworm produces a soft, cool light from a specialized organ in its tail. The silk threads hang down like beaded curtains, often adorned with tiny droplets of moisture that catch and refract the blue glow, making the entire ceiling appear to be dripping with liquid light. It is a silent, glowing trap, yet from our perspective in the boat, it is nothing short of magical. The glowworms are sensitive to sound and vibration. If you were to speak loudly or splash the water, they might dim their lights in caution. But here, in the quiet, they burn steadily, a testament to the peaceful persistence of life in the dark. As you drift deeper into the cavern, the boundaries between the earth and the sky seem to dissolve. The reflection on the water is so clear that it feels as though the boat is floating in the center of a glowing sphere, suspended between two heavens. It is a moment of profound stillness, where the weight of the world above disappears, replaced by the rhythmic dripping of water and the steady, ancient light of these tiny living stars. In many ways, this cave is a mirror of the cosmos itself. Just as we look up at the night sky and find comfort in the distant, unchanging light of the stars, we can find that same peace here, deep within the earth. Nature has found a way to recreate the majesty of the universe in a place where the sun can never reach. It reminds us that light is not just a product of the heavens, it is a fundamental part of the biological world, a tool that has been refined over millions of years. Take another slow, deep breath. Feeling the cool cave air fill your lungs. As the boat continues its silent journey, let the image of the blue-green galaxy linger in your mind. The stars above us and the stars within the cave share a common purpose: to guide, to signal, and to remind us of the beauty that exists in the stillness. As we prepare to leave the quiet of the cavern, we begin to wonder how such a complex and beautiful system came to be, and how many times nature has invented the miracle of light across the vast history of our planet. As we emerge from the silent depths of the cave, our minds might naturally begin to wander through the vast, unhurried corridors of time. We often think of light as something that belongs to the sun or the distant stars, but on our own planet, light has a much more personal biological history. It is a story that has been written over and over again in different languages and in different corners of the world, long before the first human ever struck a spark. The evolution of bioluminescence is one of nature's most recurring miracles. It is not a single lucky accident that happened once in a lonely pool of water millions of years ago. Instead, it is a masterpiece of what scientists call convergent evolution. This means that nature has invented the ability to create light independently at least 40 to 50 different times across the history of life. Imagine that for a moment. Dozens of different lineages, from tiny bacteria to complex fish and delicate fungi, all arriving at the same brilliant solution to the problem of darkness, completely separate from one another. Why did nature return to this idea so many times? The answer lies in the sheer success of light as a tool. In a world of shadows, being able to create your own glow is like possessing a secret key. It allows a creature to speak when it cannot make a sound, to hunt when it cannot see, and to hide when there is nowhere to run. Because it worked so well for the first jellyfish, it appeared again in the ancestors of the firefly. Because it served the deep-sea shrimp, it emerged once more in the mushrooms of the forest floor. Each time, the chemistry might be slightly different, using different proteins or different fuels, but the goal was always the same. This repetition tells us that light is not a luxury or a decorative fluke. It is a fundamental, successful strategy for existence. This tells us that the world is, by its very nature, a place that seeks to illuminate itself. Even in the deepest trenches of the ocean or the darkest nights of a prehistoric forest, life was busy finding ways to spark. It is a testament to the resilience and creativity of the biological world, a reminder that even in the total absence of the sun, life finds a way to create its own brilliance. This ancient, repeating history suggests that light is a fundamental part of the Earth's identity. It is an enduring strategy that has stood the test of eons. And perhaps because this soft glow has been a part of our planet's story for so much longer than humans have existed, it has woven itself into our own subconscious. We are not merely watching a chemical reaction when we see a firefly or a glowing wave. We are witnessing an ancient survival skill that has been polished by time into something of pure, quiet beauty. As you lie there, feeling the weight of your body against the mattress, you might begin to sense why these lights feel so familiar, even if we rarely see them in our daily lives. There is a deep, quiet connection between our own sense of peace and the gentle, rhythmic lights of the natural world. Our ancestors spent their nights under the stars, occasionally catching the glimmer of a firefly or the glow of the sea, and those soft lights became symbols of a world that was alive and present, even in the dark. We are beginning to understand that the way we feel when we see these lights is not just a coincidence. It is a reflection of a very old relationship between our minds and the living lanterns of the earth. Take a slow, deep breath and consider how your own mind responds to the thought of a soft, pulsing light in the distance. Have you ever wondered why the sight of a firefly or the soft, rhythmic shimmer of a glowing wave feels so inherently soothing? There is something about those small, pulsing lights that seems to bias our busy daily thoughts and speak directly to a deeper, more ancient part of our minds. As you lie there, feeling the weight of your body becoming heavier and more relaxed, you might find that simply visualizing these lights helps to quiet the noise of the world outside. This sense of peace isn't just a coincidence, it is a profound connection between our own psychology and the gentle, living lights of the natural world. Scientific studies into the psychology of light and color suggest that our affinity for these displays is rooted deeply in our biological history. Most bioluminescence occurs in the blue and green parts of the spectrum, colors that we often associate with tranquility in the natural world. In the long ancestral history of our species, these specific low-intensity lights were often associated with environments of calm and relative safety. Unlike the aggressive, alarming red of a forest fire or the sharp, demanding glare of the high noon sun, the cool blues and emerald greens of the natural world are the colors of the deep woods and the steady sea. They are the colors of the twilight hours, a time when the world begins to slow down and prepare for rest. When our eyes perceive these gentle, cool-toned lights, our brains often respond by lowering our stress levels. It is as if seeing a living creature glow is a signal that the ecosystem is healthy, functioning, and peaceful. We are, in a sense, wired to find peace in the gentle glow of the natural world. It acts as a visual reminder that even in the dark, there is life, and that life is not a threat, but a quiet presence, keeping us company in the stillness. This rhythm, the slow on and off of a firefly, or the steady, low-energy glow of a deep-sea jelly, mimics the rhythm of a resting heartbeat or a slow, deep breath. As you settle deeper into your pillow, let your mind wander through the sheer diversity of these lights. We have spoken of the giants of the sea and the beetles of the summer forest, but the world's collection of living lanterns is even broader and more surprising than we might first imagine. There are lights hidden in the damp soil beneath our feet and in the slow-moving shadows of the garden, waiting to be discovered. The world is far more luminous than we often realize, populated by a vast array of living lanterns that we haven't even mentioned yet. These are the smaller, often overlooked creatures that carry the same miraculous spark, proving that the gift of light is distributed throughout every branch of the tree of life, in forms both strange and beautiful. Think of the small, often overlooked residents of the forest floor like the Motixia millipede. While many creatures use light to communicate or hunt, these low-moving inhabitants of the California mountains use it as a silent, steady shield. They are blind, unaware of their own brilliance, yet as they move across the cool, damp earth, they emit a constant, ethereal, greenish-white glow. It is a soft, cold light that signals their presence to the night. To a quiet observer, they appear like fallen stars scattered among the leaves, tiny, steady beacons of life in the deep undergrowth. Take a slow, deep breath, imagining that soft green light illuminating the mossy ground beneath the trees. Even deeper in the earth, there are certain species of earthworms that carry their own internal lanterns. In the quiet soils of the southern United States, the Diplocardia earthworm lives a life of near total darkness. Yet, when it is disturbed, it secretes a thick, luminous mucus that glows with a brilliant blue light. This fluid can stain the surrounding soil, creating a temporary glowing trail in the dirt. It is a remarkable thought that even in the heavy, silent darkness of the earth beneath us, there are pockets of sapphire light, a hidden world of bioluminescence that exists far from any human eye. The ground itself, in these rare moments, becomes a map of glowing blue veins, a secret shared only with the soil. In the tidal pools and rocky crevices of the coast, we find another wonder, the clusterwink snail. This small creature has a truly beautiful way of interacting with its environment. When it is tapped or startled by a passing crab, it doesn't just produce a spark, it flickers like a soft, rhythmic light bulb. The snail's shell is uniquely designed to scatter light. It acts as a natural diffuser, much like a frosted glass lamp, spreading the internal glow until the entire shell radiates with a gentle sea-green light. This makes the snail appear much larger than it actually is, a clever defense mechanism that looks to us like a tiny glowing marble resting on the dark sand. It is a rhythmic, soothing pulse, like a tiny heart made of light, beating softly against the sound of the waves. These are the living lanterns that often go unnoticed, yet they are part of a vast, global network of light. We see it in the glowing millipedes of the mountains, the luminous snails of the shoreline, and the quiet worms of the garden. Each one of these creatures, no matter how small or humble, contributes to the hidden radiance of our planet. They remind us that light is not just something that falls from the sky. It is something that rises from the earth and the sea, a fundamental part of the biological world. As you settle further into your bed, let the image of these tiny, glowing lives bring a sense of comfort. The world is far more luminous than we often realize, populated by millions of small, quiet sparks that keep the darkness at bay. We have traveled a long way on this journey, moving from the crushing silent depths of the midnight zone where the first sparks of the deep sea appeared, up through the sunlit layers of the ocean, across the sparkling shorelines, and into the warm, familiar air of the land. In every place we have visited, from the bottom of the Pacific to the damp soil of a backyard, we have found that life has found a way to create its own brilliance. We are now seeing the full picture, a world where the sea and the land are not separate, dark voids, but are instead mirrors of one another, both filled with the same gentle, living light. Take another breath, feeling the stillness of the room around you as we begin to bring these two worlds together. As we drift further into the quiet of the night, we can see how the two worlds we have explored, the vast, deep ocean and the soft, moonlit land, begin to merge in our minds. They are not as different as they first seemed. Both are vast, silent spaces where life has found a way to illuminate the darkness from within. In the crushing pressure of the midnight zone, miles below the waves, the tiny anglerfish dangles its glowing lure, casting a soft light into the abyss. Thousands of miles away, in the humid air of a summer field, a firefly blinks its own rhythmic signal, a tiny heartbeat of emerald light against the trees. Though their environments are worlds apart, the impulse is the same. Nature does not simply accept the total absence of light. Instead, it invents it. It creates it from a handful of simple chemicals and a spark of biological energy, turning the dark into a canvas. This is perhaps the most beautiful lesson of bioluminescence. It reminds us that even in the total absence of the sun, life creates its own brilliance. It is an internal light, a glow that comes from the very essence of being alive. This cold light, which generates no heat and wastes almost no energy, is a testament to the incredible efficiency and creativity of the natural world. It shows us that there is no corner of our planet so remote or so dark that it cannot be touched by a gentle, living glow. Whether it is the marine snow falling through the deep sea like glowing stardust, or the foxfire fungi lighting up a decaying log in the woods, the message remains the same. Light is a fundamental part of the Earth's story, even in its most hidden places. There is a profound sense of security in this realization. We live on a planet that is resilient, creative, and inherently bright. The same chemistry that lights up a jellyfish in the Pacific is at work in the glowworms of a cave in New Zealand and the fireflies in your own backyard. This continuity across the globe offers a feeling of deep peace, a sense that the entire world is interconnected by these tiny shimmering threads of light. It is a reminder that even in the stillness and the dark, there is movement, there is purpose, and there is a quiet, persistent beauty. You can rest deeply now, knowing that this world is never truly empty or cold. It is teeming with millions of quiet, glowing lives that carry on their gentle work while you sleep. Feel the weight of your body against the mattress now, as heavy and relaxed as a stone resting on the soft sand of the seabed. Your breathing is slow and steady, matching the rhythmic pulsing of a tenophore in the deep. The two worlds we have visited, the deep sapphire blue of the sea and the soft velvet green of the forest, are now just a gentle blur in your mind, a tapestry of soft colors and quiet, comforting thoughts. Our journey through the world of living light is nearly complete, and as we prepare to let the last of these glowing images fade into the background, allow yourself to sink further into the warmth of your blankets. You are completely safe, completely still, and surrounded by the memory of a world that glows just for the sake of being alive. Take one more slow, deep breath, letting the peace of the glowing ocean and the quiet woods settle over you like a soft, luminous veil. As we reach the very end of our quiet exploration, it is time to let the lights fade. Imagine the fireflies in the meadow we visited. Their rhythm is slowing now. The bright emerald blinks, becoming softer and further apart. One by one, they find a leaf to rest upon, their tiny lanterns dimming until they are nothing more than a memory of light against the dark velvet of the trees. The forest is returning to its deepest silence, a silence that is not empty, but full of the restful, heavy breathing of the earth itself. The air is cool, the grass is still, and the world of the surface is settling into a long, peaceful slumber. Far below, in the crushing depths of the midnight zone, the tiny sparks are also drifting away. The marine snow, those glowing flakes of organic stardust, has finally settled into the soft, ancient silt of the ocean floor. The anglerfish has extinguished its lure, and the vampire squid has tucked its glowing tips away, dissolving into the perfect, cool embrace of the deep. The water there is motionless, a vast and heavy blanket of sapphire black that holds the secrets of the world in a quiet, eternal hug. The bioluminescent pulse of the ctenophores has slowed to a whisper, and the dragonfish has turned off its secret red light, choosing instead to vanish into the comfort of the shadows. Your body has found its own rhythm now, one that perfectly mirrors the ancient stillness of these places. Just as the firefly and the jellyfish conserve their energy with the miracle of cold light, your body is now in its most efficient and peaceful state, resting and restoring itself in the quiet. Your heart beats with the slow, steady pulse of a sea that has existed for eons. Your breath is as rhythmic and effortless as the tide, pulling in the stillness and releasing the last remains of the day. There is a profound symmetry between your rest and the rest of the natural world. You are part of this grand, quiet cycle of light and dark. You are cocooned in warmth, safe and secure within the sanctuary of your bed. The room around you is dark, but it is a soft, protective darkness, much like the depths of the White Omo Caves or the shaded floor of a summer forest. You're surrounded by the gentle memory of everything we have seen, the shimmering bays, the glowing fungi, and the rhythmic lanterns of the deep. These living lights remain there, in the hidden corners of our planet, glowing steadily and beautifully, while you take the rest you have earned. They are a reminder that the world is a place of wonder, even when we cannot see it. There is nothing left to do now, and nowhere else to be. The journey is complete, and the map of the luminous world has been folded away. The lights have dimmed to a soft internal glow that warms you from within, a flicker of peace that will carry you through the night. You are drifting now, floating on a sea of perfect calm, moving closer and closer to the shore of deep, restorative sleep. Let the last of the images dissolve into the shadows. Let the weight of the blankets hold you still. You're safe. You are at peace. You are exactly where you need to be. May your dreams be as gentle and bright as the stars in a New Zealand cave. Sleep well.